Yeah, this buddy here in Midland, Texas. I got a new idea for a video today, and I saw a rude comment, which is pretty common, on YouTube. I didn't even allow it to go through. But somebody wrote on there, oh, he thought people were breaking into his last home. Okay, and so I've heard that before. Actually, the first time I heard that was right after I got out of the hospital, and my dad told me that somebody was saying that, and it was being said to falsely, make me look like I was crazy, whatever. And we all know now it's a proven murder attempt. Premeditated murder attempt. I wasn't shot with my own gun. Absolute undeniable proof. And so these people are slandering my name. They have nothing else to go on. They can't argue the facts. They can't argue the truth. They know this. This is a capital murder attempt. They know people broke in my home and tried to kill me. Shot me with special ammunition. So all they can do is slander and lie. Okay, but I want to address this specifically topic. Okay, he thought somebody was breaking into his last home. Okay, and so I drew up a little document, and I'll turn my camera around here in a minute and show you pictures of all that, but I'm going to talk about this story. And really, here's what happened, okay, and I'm going to tell the history there. I was living, I'm from Hobbs, New Mexico, 100 miles from here, and I was transferred to a gas plant, okay, a camp or whatever. It's a gas plant for Phillips plant, and back in '86. And I lived out there 6 years. In '92, they shut down the camp outside of Orla, Texas, a little ghost town, and they transferred us or moved us back to Hobbs. Okay, so I got a realtor. Okay, and looking for a home, and the realtor I got was a guy named Mike Burns. It was a late Mike Burns. He was married to my first wife, the mother of my son. Okay, Tami Callaway is her name. Her family used to have a lumber yard and furniture store and all this stuff there in Hobbs, and so a little wealthy or whatever, and well-known family was the Callaway family there in Hobbs. Okay, so anyways, Mike finds me this home out on Rolling Meadows, 7611 Rolling Meadows, and that home was built by my former in-laws, by Ann and Don Callaway, Tammy's parents, okay? And they also built the one directly to the south of that home, and they lived in that home. I used to go out there and pick up Josh sometimes, but not the home I lived in, the one next door. But they built both them homes together, both Ann and Don did, okay, many years ago. But they had moved out, and then here I moved to town, and Mike is the one family this home, and that's where I got in that home. Okay, so I lived there a total of 16 years until I was, transferred or, prodded, whatever, lured, to transfer to Midland in 2008. Okay. And so here's the story of what happened. In 2002, I was going through a divorce with Cindy Barton. Okay. And we separated. It was around the Christmas holidays. And at that year, I had the kids, you get them split the holidays or whatever. I got them the second half of the holiday, which was the New Year's side. And so my two girls come down from Clovis, and at like a family project, we painted the living room. I'll show you a picture of it here in a minute. It has a big beam sewing up there, and so that it was empty of furniture anyway, so I didn't mess with that. So we painted the whole thing, and it's what we did over the holiday. And so then they went back to Clovis for school, whatever that went. And then the next week, my youngest daughter Jordan comes back from Clovis, and so after she gets back, she's the one that notices. She says, "Dad, there's a light on in the attic." And what it was you have that beam. There's a wooden beam at the top of the vaulted ceiling, and there's a little crack up there between the ceiling and that beam, and that goes up in the attic, and so it allowed light to come through. And I look up and I said, sure enough, there is light coming up there. Well, I knew for a fact it wasn't there the week before. We had painted the whole room. I'd been up on a ladder up there. I'd spent a lot of time in that room painting and looking at it, and just week 4, and I was positive I hadn't been up into my attic, and so somebody had turned that light on in the attic. Okay, and so that is correct. I thought somebody had been in my attic. I thought it was Cindy. I just separated from her a couple weeks before, and I mean, she gave me. We had 2 garage door openers. She gave me both of them, whatever, and so a couple weeks later, I come home from work, and there's a message on my answering machine, on my voicemail, and it's a person that called and they're asking for Cindy. And they said, is Cindy there? Is Cindy Webb there? And at the end of the call, you hear the phone pick up and Cindy says, hello. Okay, click. And what happened was she was inside my home. Okay, and the phone rang and it was for her. She let it go to voicemail, and because it was for her is why she answered it. And she tried to hang up the phone and then answer it, but she accidentally got her voice on there when she said hello. And so when I got home and listened to the message, I had time stamped she was here in my house at 11:37 or whatever it was. And so I knew for a fact, because I was at work, right, that Cindy had been in my home. Well, you know, it's obviously Cindy that was in the attic, you know, no big deal, you know. And so I called the Lee County Sheriff's Department, and because I'm going through a divorce time, we're separated, and I called my family. Mom and Dad come over, my brother come over, you know, a friend from work come over, I think Cynthia come over. I let everybody listen to that voice message. You know, I played it many times. You know, the deputy, you know, he listens to it. Yep, she's in the house. He says, but I ain't filing a report. This is a civil matter. Okay. Well, you know, okay. And so, and then I had the garage door people, let him listen to it too. And really what the deal was is she had made a spare garage door opener before we separated that I didn't know about. And so then, you know, I wasn't aware. And so while I'm at work, she come in, hit the button, drive in, she hit the button, and then she was in my house. Okay, that's what was going on. And so I got that changed to basically stop it. My brother, you know, he offers to go by and pick me up a lock, you know, and so he brought the lock and the key to me, okay, and so I changed out the lock to the front door at that time, you know, and so that was pretty much done. Yeah, I thought somebody's in my Hobbs home, thought it was Cindy, okay. And so and then of course I came over here, and then all these crimes started doing, and there's people in the attic. It's no doubt about that, you know. And I saw a person in the attic. They set off the burglar alarms. I don't know how many times. I proved they're hacking the security systems. I got people all over, documented all over Midland, Odessa, reporting people in their attic. People, you know, a woman in Carlsbad burns her home down. People in Alabama, California, Colorado. I got emails, voice recorded phone calls. It's going on. I got a video called "People in the Attic Everywhere." You know, it's going on. Just even the last couple of weeks, a Grundy tech comes by and tells me, he says, yeah, I was in the attic about 3 blocks from here, from your house, and up there, and there was human feces up there, and I told the homeowner, somebody's living up there, and they said, is it animal? And he said, no, that's not animal. There's somebody up there, you know, and he's serious. I recorded. That's another video I made. So this is going on. I think it's connected to human trafficking, sex trafficking too, and as I've explained to people, that one thing, they're still in heating and cooling from you. Okay, they're breaking apart your heating, cooling pipes and electricity. Okay, and so it costs me a lot of money, and it does here for sure, because you know it just runs and runs and runs when it shouldn't, and you know it's been real frustrating for me that it's theft of services they're stealing from you. Okay. But it's also, there's plenty of room up there, actually, more than you think, especially at my house. And then there's still in electricity, so they got light. And I'm sure it beats the crap out of a mesquite bush, okay? And rent around here is like $2,000 a month. So, I mean, they're pocketing money right and left. And so just think, if they got 10 of these houses and they're saving $2,000 a month, that's $20,000 a month for this racketeering, for this crime ring. And I'm sure there's a lot more than 10 houses. And then you spread it over times 100, times 1,000 houses, you're making a killing, okay? And basically, if you're in the human trafficking business, then your product's humans, and you got to do something with them. You either go pay for rent, or you rig homes with a hidden access, you know, and they're literally coming up, you know, they got modified a wall or whatever where they have enough crawl space, you know, that they can't come up a wall, just a normal wall. They have to have enough crawl space to come up from the ground and into that attic, and that's what's going on here, and I'm sure in the other houses. And I know the Hobbs home, I'm for sure, absolutely positive, because I've been up in that attic, there is lots of room on both sides of the fireplace that you could crawl up there, you know, and I've looked in it, but you know, I've never done. I mean, I never thought that home was rigged, you know, but now I look back and I'm thinking maybe it was. And here's why I think it might have been rigged. Last year I was talking to Cindy online, the one I went through the divorce with, okay, on Facebook, and I've got a print screen I'm going to show you here in a minute. And I'm asking her, I said, I know you're in my house, and I have proof of that, you know. And I said, I want to know if you were in the attic, because of all the crimes that's going on, you know. And she writes back, she says, it wasn't in your friggin' attic. And I thought, that sounds like Cindy, okay? You know, I mean, I was married to her for a long time. It sounds like she wasn't in my friggin' attic, right? Okay? But if she wasn't in my friggin' attic, somebody else was, okay? And so, very possibly, all that time that home was rigged, and I didn't even know it, okay? It's real possible. Just like all these other homes, just like this one. I lived here 2 years before I figured out somebody was breaking into my home here, okay? And so, and another clue here is that ex-wife here in Midland had told me, you were chosen to buy that home. Well, that means that the crimes against me started before I moved here, okay? Which I believe that, you know, now there was a stalker wrote that, I remember seeing you in Wallace's Frost Stop in the 80s, okay? And so I'm looking back and I'm thinking this crime ring has been stalking me that many years. I look back and I think that's the case there. And so anyway, I'm going to show you some of these files and to show you this story here, but I wanted to explain it to you first. And let me flip this over here. Okay. Once again, I drew up a little notepad that I'll include with the when I post this video out there. And what I want to show you, I went to Google Maps first. Okay, and no, that wasn't what I thought it was. That wasn't what I thought it was. Golly. I didn't even know all of them open. Now we're having this major technical problems because I just clicked on that one and all of them open. They did it again. Yeah, we got some buggy crap going on. Look at there. But let's just do it this way. Okay, Google Earth here. Okay, and this is the Hobbs Home at 7611 Rolling Meadows. Like I said, that's the one that was built by my first in-laws, the Callaways. Okay, by Don and Ann Callaway. And I'm going to back it off. And next door to the south was the home that they built. So they built both of these homes right there. And that's one, they wasn't living there when I moved into this one. That's where I lived for 16 years on this home right here. And here, and for one time, actually, Violet Colvin, if people know that from Hobbs, and her late husband also lived in this home right here. Okay, that was next door. This is a picture when Cindy and I got married in South Lake Tahoe many years ago, and this is the message from Cindy, where we're talking there. And basically, I never got in the freaking attic, okay? And, you know, said, did you get up in the attic or not? It's proving you're in my home, okay? And so that was interesting in itself that, you know, I thought, I guess that's right. My mom died the month before the murder attempt on my life and was still unanswered questions to this day. And then just a couple weeks later, a couple weeks before I was actually shot, Don Callaway dies, Ann Callaway's husband, okay? And then a year or two after I'm shot, or, you know, survived the murder attempt, then my dad marries Ann Callaway. And you see I'm not in the picture, and that's because I wasn't invited to the wedding, okay? And Ann Callaway told me that she was the reason I wasn't invited to the wedding. So that's really strange that we know for a fact now, I have absolute proof. I survived a premeditated capital murder attempt. And basically my family here that's so close, was so close to, pretty much abandoned me, turned their back on me for unknown reason. And there's my brother right there, Danny. And so Ann and Don, okay. And here was the obituaries for, that's my dad actually. And I thought that wasn't the one I was looking for. I was looking for Don Callaway. Dad died just in 2017. But there's Mom, and she died on December 7th, 2011, 5 weeks before I died. Okay, here's a picture of my Hobbs home from the ground. We've seen it from above, okay? And so that's a Hobbs home. And this is the room that I painted. This is kind of important to the story here, because remember I described the beam that's up there, and the crack was up here in that corner where you could see a little hole, and that's where you could see light coming through. And so I had to paint all that, and I knew for a fact there wasn't no light on the week before. And then Jordan, so anybody wanting to call me crazy, they're actually calling my daughter crazy. And ain't nobody crazy here, that other than they're breaking into homes, murdering people, trying to get away with it. With police stealing evidence to help cover up these capital crimes and for-profit murders. Here's that fireplace on each side on the corners there. When you're up in the attic, there's plenty of space. That's hidden space that could be a place to crawl up from the ground. And so if that home is rigged, like this home is rigged, then that's where I'd suspect that entrance would be right there. And so That's that. This is from my attorney, Templeman, okay, and you can see the date, March 11th, conference with Mr. Webb, re-entry into house by Mrs. Webb. That was right after I had found the voicemail where Cindy had been in my house, okay. And then when I'm saying multiple people, here's the news story over there in Carlsbad where the woman set her house on fire and said people were in the attic, okay. And that's about 70 miles from Hobbs, okay. That's the deed history of my home. This is a group of people that I just documented that have reported people in the attic here locally in Midland and Odessa, okay? And a lot of these are recorded off the police scanner that they called into the dispatcher and reported somebody in their attic. And I just happened to hear it and recorded it. There's really no telling how many I didn't happen to hear and how many people are out there and they don't even know it yet, okay? You know, they've got somebody in their attic because nobody would ever think that. You know, I mean, I live here 2 years and it's real possible that's going on in Hobbs for many years. So these addresses were there too. And I did have that last one. This was the deed history on my home. Basically, it's showing you who had it before me, Mike Lawhon, and he died on October 12, 2008. Brandy Merrill owned the house, sold it to Mike Lawhon, and then you follow that arrow down, and she was married to Daniel Price, and they lived at 3809 Fair Circle when I moved here. So a previous owner of my home lived across the street when I moved here. And then if you look, that John Legrand at the bottom there in 2004, that was the late brother-in-law of U.S. Congressman Mike Callaway, lived across the street there. So you can see that. And then a John David Ward, I don't know who that is. Cody Prindle lived there just a little bit. And now there's a William Wilson. And there was a Wilson that was related to Suzanne Callaway. That's John Legrand's sister that's married to the congressman. And so maybe that home's still in the family there. Okay. And here on my home, back of my home, looks like Morris Kurt. He's a retired teacher in Midland. 2003 is when he sold this home. And so somebody on this list knows something about this home being rigged for capital crimes, you know, for racketeering and stuff. And so I've got some screenshots of his kids made extremely rude comments online about me, and I don't even know them. And that made me suspect they know something about the murder attempt in this home being rigged, etc. Randy Offenberger got a sprinkler permit. He was the original owner of my home at 3802 Fair Circle. He was an engineer for Pioneer. And you know, and now I've got a foot and a half of extra dirt on top of my lawn. And my best guess is all this tunnel digging, the basement building was done around 1987. And George Bush was vice president at the time, George Bush Sr. And when that happened, I think there was a new toilet. You see that? That was done by Brandy Merrill. And when she lived here. So I know there was a major remodeling job here. I recently did a Facebook post about this home at 3805. And the reason I did, this is an attorney, Nick Todoro, that's lived there ever since I've got here. But I think I found on there that John Gray used to own that home. And that is a super wealthy oil man that is from Artesia, New Mexico. And if you remember, a woman on the phone said that somebody wealthy from Artesia was involved, okay? And they're the ones that had Marbob and did $1 billion sale over to Concho, okay? It was John Gray and Mac Chase. Okay, here's a 3803. Marilyn DeLuigi, she didn't live there no more. She's the one that told me Mike Lawhon died in my house twice, okay? And then she said somebody else died here before that, okay? But before that, Ken Slager, he worked for my company. He was a commercial director for DCP Midstream. I knew him for a long time. All our landman reported up to that commercial group, and his group ran the oil shows, the booth at the oil show for our company, DCP Midstream. And DCP stand for Duke ConocoPhillips. We were a major, of course, you know. Bruce Paget, he's a locksmith. Remember, his daughter died. I'm trying to think what her name is, Kathy Lujan, and that was a murder that was in the news a couple years ago. Here's Eli Vargas, the next door neighbor. He's the one that says, last 4 people living in your home didn't live there long, ha, ha, ha. And another thing that he told me was, I was telling him somebody's getting my attic. He says, that's what professional burglars do. And Also, when you see the pictures of the thing in the backyard, suspected tunnel entrance, it's at that home right there, okay? Tulane, Gwen, she's the one that lives on the other side, and she's the one that had a burglary in her house in 2014, and the police told her that it was somebody that lived in this house back when the Martins lived there, okay? And on 3811 Oak Fair Circle, and I've told stories about that where cars would pull up on the other side of this property, and you know, I even wondered if there wasn't a tunnel entrance in that home right there. I didn't know that. And Freddie Haltom, here, that's at 3807, and he's been here since the beginning, it looks like. And you know, I think he does gun classes, so he's a gun expert. I bet he could tell us about the Glazer safety slugs. And he also was a truck stop preacher, I guess. He went out there and preached at the truck stops to the hookers. And so that's what it looked like online. And then, okay, the lot of talk on this 3811 home here. Remember that they had overdoses there. Guy called me on the phone on a video called Block Call. Said that I think it was somebody involved in that house and they were doing drugs out of that house, etc. and all that. And that house has changed owners many times. And so these are the 9 homes in my cul-de-sac. And that doesn't include the one around the corner on Westmont Court that had the same mortar problem as mine that I suspected would, you know, maybe there's underground access there. Remember, I got a woman recorded telling me there's 4 3-bedroom homes, 25 foot deep, each costing over $1 million each. And my guess is maybe one of them's here. It looks like behind Home Depot there's a ditch coming towards my house there. But maybe that other one's on Westmont Court, and I don't know where the other 2 are. But anyway, this is Buddy Webb. I hope y'all found that interesting. Talk to you later. Share it. Talk to you later. Bye.